Good morning and welcome to Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Udwa Kamimo. Now, can Kenya feed itself for the rest of 2014? The picture is mixed. We're told that food shortages are imminent. Indeed, some of you watching might live in areas where there is little or no food. We've all read, heard, and seen media reports on starving, desperate families. The government says, however, there is no need to worry. It's sourcing food, maize in particular, from neighboring countries. And so to explain the picture of Kenya's food security to us, today's guest is the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock, Felix Koskei. Mutegi Njau of Royal Media Services and David Makali, political analyst, are in the studio as the Cheche panel. Good morning and welcome to Cheche. Before we begin, I'll just point out to our viewers that you've made time for us. You're rushing off to a meeting at State House, so we're going to try and make the most of the time that we have with you. So to come to the question, can we feed ourselves for the rest of the year?
Well, we can feed ourselves. Feeding ourselves does not mean that we need to have food in the stores. So long as people have money, so long as the food is accessible, I'm confident that we are going to feed ourselves as a country.
Because going by media reports, we had a food shortage imminent from next month. There was a deficit of about 700,000 bags of maize. In February, there was also another, warning sign. We were told that the rains did not perform as well, and so therefore we wouldn't have as much food as we should do in the country. You're telling us that...
Yeah, you see, the kind of shortage of food that we are facing now is as a result of last year's crop. The preparation of 2012, 2013, early 2013, the first quarter, which of course you are aware that there were so many activities that happened. One, there was election that distracted people from farming. Secondly, the fertilizer delayed, and the fertilizer of 2013 came around June, July, which of course affected the crop yield, and several other issues like maize, lethal necrotic disease that ravaged South Rift. These issues really affected production, and it was not that it affected too much, but it's a percentage of it. We did a survey end of April, and we realized that we are likely to have a shortage of 720,000 bags of maize. And what is consoling is that there is high traffic of consignments of maize coming from Uganda and Tanzania, which are having surplus this year, and 720 is not much. It will be covered by that flow of maize coming from Tanzania and Uganda. And mind you, Tanzania, Uganda, the East African community is as one, because we don't charge duty, there are no tariff barriers, so there is free flow, and we are confident that we don't have any problem. That is on maize alone. And when we talk about imminent hunger, famine, people associated with maize, we have other food crops. We have bananas in Tanzania, we have cassava, sorghum, sweet potatoes. People eat potatoes itself, Irish potatoes. We also have rice coming in, which always is coming in. So really, when you look at it, it will balance off.
But those things are never part of our national food, storage. The ones you're mentioning, potatoes and all that. Perhaps rice we store and maize. That's why the focus is always on the worry when we're low on stocks.
Yeah, the focus has been that because it is a staple food, yes, for once. If you look at the trends in the world now, countries no longer keep physical food in a reserve.
Yeah.
You either choose to have food if it is cost effective to keep it, or you have cash equivalent. And in Kenya, we've been keeping in our strategic reserve maize, simply because it's a staple food that is affected by some immediate change of perhaps weather and the rest. And that is why we've been keeping it. And you realize that last year, when the government came into place, we had only about 2 million bags. We have raised it to 3.1 million now. So really, as we are...
What's our optimal storage limit?
Yeah, we need about 8 million,
8 million
bags at any one time. And we have put measures in place to increase that the reserve up to 8 million bags in a span of time. You know, a bag of maize is 3 million. So if you buy 1 million bags, you are spending 3 billion shillings at one time. So we are going to increase, but at the same time, we need to be modern in the way we are doing things. We need also to think of having cash equivalent.
Before we come to the modernity and the cash equivalent, we need 8 million bags of maize at any one time. You say that we're at about 3 million. At what point do you expect to get to the 8 million that we require? Particularly if we say that the imminent shortages and you're trying to bring in more maize from outside.
Yeah, the government's plan is to have to buy 1 million bags every year.
Every year?
Yeah, as we go along. And as we are doing this, we want also to make people realize that they need to diversify and to change their eating habits, because it's not only maize that is a source of protein in this country.
That's cultural.
Yeah.
So you're asking for too much.
And we are very happy that people are changing. You go across, we have done survey in Nairobi. People now are going
yes, but in certain areas like Baringo,
people are going towards...
there's a serious problem there.
People are going towards rice and other food stuff than maize.
You are talking like Marie Antoinette. Why did they not have cake? And people are starving on the street because they have no brain. Then you're asking, why can't they eat rice? If you can't afford maize, why do you get the rice problem?
As we speak now, and let me inform you that in the countryside,
Yes.
the shortage of food is not as bad as in cities.
Yes.
Wherefore, focusing in cities where that is where people are there and they are not farming. But if you go to the countryside, people have their own.
But
maize
people
in
Which
their stores.
countryside are you referring to? Because we've seen reports of people starving.
In Baringo?
Yes.
Precise.
Talk of Turkana and Baringo.
Yeah.
Turkana and Baringo has not been because of lack of maize. Turkana, when they were announcing that people are starving, they're dying, I had moved in November 15,000 bags of maize, and it was sitting in Lodwa. The problem is accessibility.
Yes.
The problem is affordability.
The affordability.
The problem that is there is some structural failure, because the county government didn't move in and buy maize, because, you know, by the constitution, it is the county government who are responsible for distribution of relief. So they did not buy. And I had 15,000 bags in Baringo about 3-4 weeks ago. I had 7,000 bags in Marigat.
What do you mean they did not buy? Had the national government given the money to the county governments, or they're supposed to buy from the budgets?
Yeah, the budget is all inclusive. You know, the budget for county governments is a percentage, and it includes all the activities that is required to be done in a year. One of it is relief food
Emergency
intervention.
relief service is a function of the devolved government or
It
national
is.
government.
In terms of food, it is.
So
we
when-
only step in when it becomes an epidemic.
So when the county governor of Baringo was quoted as, raising an alarm over the food shortages in his county, you had the maize there.
Yeah.
It was a false alarm. He was not understanding his role. What was the dynamic?
If you can remember, he didn't say there is no food, there is no maize. He
said
said
people are starving.
People are starving.
Yes.
You can even sit here and starve while food is 2 meters away.
Yes.
It is accessibility, it is affordability. And he said very clearly that he has moved in and the national government is working with them. So it is not about lack of food. Even as we speak now, we may say that we are staring at a shortage. But when you look at it, the indicators of dire shortage of food has not come yet, because we've not seen people going to National Cereals and Produce Board requesting to buy maize there, which means maize is still
Circulating.
It is still there.
You know, maize has its own politics. Because some people cry about shortage when they know their ship is waiting there to bring in the maize, and they get the no duty. Is that probably the reason why this noise is being made?
I don't think so, because no one has come and say that try to adjust the data. The data still remain the same. And you see, that practice that has been happening a long time ago is not tenable now, because in East Africa, we don't have any tariff between As East Africa again, we have surplus in Tanzania, we have surplus in Uganda. They are flowing without any hindrance. So whoever is waiting to thinking that he wants to make a kill, yes, they are mistaken.
The other challenge, though, to our food security that's imminent is what we hear from the weather people, that we are in for El Nino rains, which of course means a heavy flooding and all the other problems associated with this sort of unseasonal weather. What steps are you taking to mitigate against those consequences?
Let me say that the whole world is facing a serious challenge because of climate change. And climate change is creating havoc. It can be so dry, it can rain heavily, it can create floods and the rest. And globally, there's an approach towards it to mitigate against it. And one of the ways of doing it is to try to put measures in place in especially
which is what I'm asking you.
Vulnerable areas,
right,
like arid and semi-arid areas, where one thing that we are doing now is to ensure that we have water pans for livestock if there's serious drought. We are putting in measures like having pasture banks across. We are focusing on livestock, especially in those areas. We are also moving in and trying to get drought-resistant crops like cassava, sorghum, and millet.
By when?
We are moving. We are doing it.
Okay, we're doing it now.
We are doing it. We've been doing it, and we have a program in the ministry called High Value Improvement Project, which we are moving in and doing that. Another thing is doing irrigation, and we are doing that because should there be any issues on weather that will affect food,
okay,
we need to be ready.
I'll jump in. It's just that it sounds quite long-term, given that we're told that if this El Nino phenomenon is upon us, we will be sure of it next month in July. So between now and July or August, when we expect to be hit by El Nino, what can anyone listening, particularly farmers, do in terms of planting, harvesting, drainage, or whatever?
Yeah, one thing I will need to say is that I hope meteorological department this time around are right, and if they are right, we are ready. First and critical thing.
Well, to be fair to them, they have the weather warning from the World Meteorological Society, and they say they will be able to confirm the effects in Kenya in July.
One critical thing when it comes to Nino is to ensure that roads are passable, and the ministry in charge of infrastructure and transport are focusing on maintenance of roads to ensure that the culverts are open, drainages are done, so that roads are passable. Because El Nino will not create or lengthen or make more. What I'm trying to say is that El Nino will not make us the access of food will only come about because of inaccessibility. Because we have depots all over. We can access these places if the roads are okay. And that is what is being addressed on. Another issue is trying to ensure that, as Minister of Water and Environment, trying to ensure that the environmental issues is taken care of. But as a ministry, all what we need to do is to ensure that our food is there and our food is safe.
Okay.
And we have depots across.
You raise a couple of issues. So are the conversations with your cabinet colleagues, whom you refer to, taking place?
Yeah, we meet and we discuss.
No, with regard to El Nino, are the conversations?
Yeah, we are doing that.
And so on your part, given that flooding is likely, what are you saying to farmers ahead of El Nino if it does take place?
You know, El Nino is a natural calamity. What we need to do as farmers, and that is exactly what I'm going to tell them, is that let us practice wood crop husbandry. Let us not plant near the rivers. Let us go to high ground. As simple as that. Let us follow the instructions of extension officers and experts in the field. And it changes from time to time.
Should they be planting different crops?
That is exactly what I've said, that we are focusing now on high value crops. But in
such as
sorghum, millet, cassava, and any other crop that is traditionally grown in those areas.
Are extension services in agriculture still there.
Yeah, let me say this.
They died many years ago, including AI.
Let me say this. When it was national government and when liberalization of the sector came about because of structural adjustment program, it changed the approach from the normal way of extension officers going to the farmers to what is called demand-driven, where the extension officer was just sitting waiting for the farmer to come. That affected the service. But I'm happy to report that when the services were devolved, because that is one area that was devolved, we are seeing extension services now being stepped up because there is closer supervision by the county governments. And we are very about that because it is becoming successful. Now you can meet an extension officer having a diary, going to farmers and ensuring that the farmer has been attended to and the farmer signs in some counties. And we are seeing that extension service now is being stepped up and it is now working.
How do I know an extension officer? Because a long time ago they used to have uniforms. But these days, when you go to extension, they will tell you if they have no means of transport to come to a place.
That is what is changing. It is changing because of this county government. And the only thing that we are having conversation with county government is to increase the numbers because there are still few. And mark you, it is not only human intervention that transmits information on agriculture now. We have other media. We have television, we have all these television stations, we have SMSs and the rest. So there is a concerted effort to ensure that the information reaches the farmer.
When do you expect to have our fertilizer factory in this country?
Yeah, we started the process of identifying the investor, and we managed to get one in March this year, and they have finished the feasibility study. In fact, I was to meet them at 9 o'clock today, but I think I'm meeting them in the afternoon. We are expecting them to start construction.
Where?
Over
in
planting plant. They are submitting the feasibility today, but their likely place is either Nakuru or Eldoret. They are starting with a blending facility, blending facility that will be releasing the first locally manufactured fertilizer in 2016, and we are expecting 150,000 metric tons in 2016. So really, we are on course, and the person identified is a renowned investor, the Toyota Chucho from Japan. So we are confident that 2016 we shall have the first run of our fertilizer in this country.
Okay.
You want to have another country?
No, we don't have, because we are not investing as government. It is 100% private investment. We are only creating an enabling environment by working on tax regimes and the rest.
Diseases. A lot of the questions coming in have to do with diseases affecting crops. Yesterday, we heard on the news that it was a tomato leaf miner pest. Quite a few of our viewers are asking about diseases affecting maize. Is there some sort of failure of our phytosanitary protocols?
We are confronted by many diseases because of still climatic change, because of other issues.
Such as?
Issues like even the way we practice our crop husbandry, the management of our farms, and also nature. There is a lot of evolution of insects, even human beings, even the diseases that human beings are affected nowadays. There were some viruses or bacteria that was not potent. There was not it was not creating a disease, but it's happening now. We have two serious diseases. One is maize lethal necrotic disease that is affecting maize, which is a combination of a virus and a fungal disease. And this disease originated from America, and it moved around, and it found itself here. It is devastating. It is ravaging maize. But as a ministry,
but how did it get here, all the way from the U.S.?
It's a matter of speculation. Nobody's sure how it came about.
But doesn't that speak to a failure of phytosanitary protocols?
That on one part it may. On the other part, our borders are porous. You may not manage to block everywhere. But the most important thing is how are we confronting it. One is we are doing a lot of research, and we have gotten already varieties that are resistant to it. We are now testing them, and perhaps soon, perhaps by next year, we are rolling them out to farmers. We are also educating farmers. We are telling them this disease is mechanically transmitted. What I mean is that if you touch a sick maize stalk and go and touch the other one, you will have transmitted it. So what we are saying that if you identify, you uproot it and burn it. Secondly, if you skip a season or two, it has been found that you clear it. So we are telling farmers, plant different crops for a year or two, then you revert back to it. So this is what we are saying. And
that addresses maize. What about the tomato?
Tomato is the disease that has affected tomato. And I was
leaf miner pest.
Yeah. I was in Isholo on Saturday on the same. It is a disease that is also originating from South America, which came to Africa through Morocco, and it came through those countries until in 2012 it was detected in Ethiopia, and we detected it some few months ago. This disease is caused by an insect which drills on the leaves and moves to the fruit. We've seen it. We have been working in collaboration with University of Nairobi, CARI, and other relevant stakeholders, those who are handling chemicals and the rest. And we have come up with a raft of control mechanisms.
Such as, for the farmers listening?
One is early warning system. We have put in place early warning system. We have also sensitized extension officers and some farmers in the area so that when they identify, we move in quickly. Secondly, we have identified 2 pheromone traps where when you put in your farm, it attracts all the males. So therefore, it cuts off the reproduction. Another area is that we are testing chemicals, various chemicals, because we have to have safe chemicals. We have to have chemicals that are effective, but at the same time safe for human consumption. So we are doing that, and Pest Control Board, together with CARI, are testing, and I think in some few weeks we shall list the ones that have been approved.
What happened to tea?
Tea issue.
Farmers are.
Tea issue is, first of all, you need to realize that we export 95% of our production. We only consume 5%.
Yeah.
So our market is out there. Therefore, any international market dynamics affects tea prices. And
what has happened to our market?
Tea in Kenya, there was overproduction. There was a very high yield because of good rains. And we produce excess by 63 million kilograms. And therefore, it affected, because of demand and supply issue, it affected the market because now the consumer, the buyer, is spoiled for choice. So they give any price. So it dropped from $3 to about $2.5, $2.6. And it requires different approaches. One is to expand the international market. We've been relying on 5 traditional market countries, of which we are saying, no, we need to expand so that our tea will access other parts of the world. Secondly is that we need to be more efficient also in terms of our production, so that we don't see, when it comes to $2.6, we don't see it as expensive. We want to work on the production side so that still the farmer will maintain its profit margin. We want also to make the activities around tea auction more perfect, so that the price discovery is above board, it is perfect. And what we are doing is that we have already given them instruction to go to e-auction. We want electronic auction, so that the transactions will have less human intervention. We are also trying to diversify our products. We produce more majorly what they call CTC. We want them to go orthodox, we want them to go to purple tea and other, so that we maintain our market.
I'm conscious of your time. We're nearing the end of our time. And so, David, right, I'll ask you a question before I come to you, actually.
Right, well, the big issues that I think the minister ought to deal with, one is the sugar sector. We have collapsing factories which need to be refinanced, some of them being sold. What is
Some
the
of our viewers have been texting about Chemelil, for instance.
Yeah, what is the strategy going forward? I mean, I speak from my home factory. You were there, you gave 400 million in Zoya. But I mean, the whole sugar sector is going through a tough, adverse season. And in fact, the movement on the ground is to change to alternative crops and abandon sugarcane because it's not productive. And especially in Western, my view is that it accounts for a lot of the poverty there because it takes a long time and the yield is low and payments are irregular. So what is the strategy government-wise?
I agree with you that there is a very serious challenge in sugarcane. One thing that we need to realize is that the production is high cost of production. Our sugar cannot compete with the sugar produced by other countries because of the cost of production.
Yes.
There's a lot of inefficiency right from the farm.
Yes, yes.
We've been having challenges on the varieties that we have, which has been low yielding. They are prone to diseases. They take a long time to mature. That is one area that has been a very serious impediment. The second area that we are looking at is the factories. They are obsolete. These factories were constructed a long time ago. They are only focused on producing sugar. They have not diversified to do ethanol. They have not diversified even to do cogeneration. Mumias has tried. Number 3 is the climatical condition of the area. If you look at it,
I'm going to interrupt just to make use of your time because you're outlining problems that I think we're familiar with.
Yeah.
So what are the solutions?
The solution is one, privatization, so that we get more injection.
Why haven't you
We will sing until we fix it.
But we have not.
We are fixing it, and we are waiting for Parliament to give us a go-ahead. We have to fix, we have to privatize, so that we get capital injection into it, so that we go to cogeneration and ethanol production.
Most of those factories are heavily indebted. How will you privatize? That is a prohibitive factor.
The package of privatization was the government to look at and write off.
Write off the debts.
That is a proposal that we are doing, and it is before Parliament. They will discuss to release it from the burden of these problems. So if we privatize, we get capital injection on factories. And we are working very hard through Kenya Sugar Research Foundation to come up with varieties that are fit for that area.
Yeah.
And we are saying that to reduce poverty, we need also to diversify. We don't have to rely on one crop. We need people to give dairy. So that as you are waiting for sugarcane money, which will take a year, you'll be having money from milk, you'll be having money from soya, and everything, so that we diversify and balance off. This is what we are doing.
Okay.
We have to wind up just so that you're not late for your appointment. Before we go, I want to get the opinion of our panelists. The big issue in the news today, of course, is the impeachment motion against your cabinet colleague, Anwai Guru. And so before I come to you, I'm reading the texts as they scroll across the screen, and there's a lot of disappointment with the cabinet secretary and with the failings, the misfortunes of the agriculture sector. I'll put it plainly. Do you think that this cabinet secretary should be fearing for his job?
Well,
you,
first of all, I think I have a high regard for Mr. Koske. I think he does a great job, and he seems to be, to have to know his territory, the scope of it very well, and to be managing it. I don't have big issues with his performance so far, but there are big issues that are coming, which I think he might need to tackle, which we haven't dealt with because I think of a shortage of time. There is the invitation to Qatar to do irrigation. A lot of land we gave them. That contract is very controversial. The nature, the details of it, how much they'll farm, what the country will benefit from, and what they'll expatriate, repatriate in profits and yields, which are probably, as you finish, I would love to hear something about it. Secondly, and the biggest flagship of this Jubilee administration was 1 million acres irrigation up there. So far, very small steps have been made, and from what I understand, my own sources, that project could turn out to be a huge white elephant because we do not have capacity to actually do the irrigation and to get the water to do that project. And there are experts within, even the government structures within the ministry who don't believe in that project.
Okay. I'll let you answer. Mutegi, what do you think, given that it's open season on cabinet secretaries?
I think the Minister of Agriculture is a huge ministry with a lot of
Agriculture, fisheries and livestock.
It's a major. I think they're doing so far, but when William Ruto was the Minister for Agriculture, we could sing a song about the good things he was doing. I don't think he has fitted into those shoes yet.
Ooh.
But I forgot this, it's absolutely important, because we had an eviction story about the veterinary land here.
Yes.
You can't come here and go without addressing that matter, where it is.
And the
For
telephone
people
call.
in Diamond Estate, in my church, they are sitting on the land that's supposed to
That's
belong
your
to
church. Oh, wow.
veterinary.
Okay.
So those
Sir,
three issues will be.
If you could respond to those issues, and then I'll come back to you for your final thoughts.
Okay, I can start with the Kenya Veterinary Vaccines Production Institute's land. This land is a quarantine land. It is land that was set aside and gazetted to be used for production of vaccines. And over time, people have been just encroaching onto it. No, they didn't start.
But where were they when the people started
They
constructing?
started encroaching on it and constructing. And what we are saying is that this theft of land, government land, is not done by thieves out there. They are done in conjunction, in cohorts with the people inside. And if somebody who is in the office is one of them, they will continue constructing as they are sitting. But what we are saying as this government is that we need to fix these problems. We cannot allow 10 million people are relying on livestock to suffer because of diseases that we cannot produce enough vaccines, while 5-10 people are making money as billionaires in this country, and we stay looking captive. We have to reclaim, and that is not the only one. Kitale, Mombasa, everywhere else.
So with regard to this one, if you could just detail what the president stopped the eviction or the demolitions. What is the
recourse
current
do the
position?
owners have?
I don't think the president stopped it, because we had done our phase one of what we wanted to do. The president say that what you do is the buildings that are already occupied, give them notice.
Yes.
Let them have a conversation with government.
Yes.
What are we going to do for? Because most of them are innocent anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
They are
So conversations around the
the
compensation should
conversations
take
are going on,
place.
and we want to see how we can solve it amicably.
Okay.
So that we
So
don't
they'll go.
lose.
They'll go.
Okay, very
The land will be
quickly, you're
returned.
looking at your watch. Qatar, the 1 million acres irrigation scheme, food standards, because you also talked about chemicals that you're using. And we had something in the papers this week about the quality of food we were eating, whether it's toxic or not.
Yeah, on 1 million acre, I want to correct you. It is going on. Those who are saying it is white elephant, that they don't believe in it, you can't stop people thinking otherwise. But we are going on. Remember, this is the first project in this government to be initiated. And it is an infrastructure project where it requires designs. So when we came in government, I started in June by inviting consultants to do consultant service feasibility study and do the designs.
Yes.
The designs were submitted in March. And we have gone through them, we have finalized. We have done detailed designs on the model farm. As we speak, we are negotiating with the Israeli government to finance the model farm of 10,000 acres. And the pilot farm of 100,000 acres is up for use by the interested investors. And what we are doing is the government is going to work on the infrastructure, right from the dams and the...
Okay, so that's underway.
No, but what is the detail? What is the arrangement we have with this, with the people investing in that land?
Let
wait.
me explain that one, because it is interesting. No. What I'm saying is that the investment model is such that the government will provide infrastructure.
Yes.
Infrastructure is irrigation infrastructure, right from dams, taking water to the farms, up to the farm gate. The investors will come in and invest in farming and do the in-farm infrastructure.
Right.
So what we are doing is that we have finished the designs. We want to do the model farm for people to realize and get to know that Galana can produce whatever they want to do. We are finalizing this month the detailed design for the dam, because we cannot manage to irrigate 1 million acres using the flow of the river as it is now. We have to store water. That one we are doing, and we expect by August we'll have a contractor to do the dam. And meanwhile, the Israeli government, we hope, because the Deputy Prime Minister is coming next week, and we are going to sign to finance the model farm so that they can start quickly, so that by end of this year, people will see that it can work and the investors will move in.
Okay.
Already, we have received about 89 expression of interest from investors, and they are very enthusiastic. They want to move in.
Okay. Very quickly on Qatar, because that was raised, so let's not leave it hanging.
Qatar, I don't know Qatar because they have not come to my office.
Well, they were being offered land here, right? To come and...
I'm not really sure because they have not come to my
Okay,
main
so
office.
let's leave
We
that
let
for the
that
moment.
pass,
We thank you for your time, but the question I asked our panelists was whether you should be worried. Mutegi feels that you should. You're not filling in the boots of one of your predecessors, the Deputy President, William Ruto. David feels that you have a very vast ministry to oversee, and you're doing well, but you probably need to do a bit more. Do you feel threatened by all these impeachment motions against
Let me respond to it. Agriculture, as we speak now, is devolved all 95%. So the people who are responsible for production are county governments. I think we need to be very clear. My responsibility is policy.
Yeah.
My responsibility is research. My policy is standards. There is a serious transition over it. I'm happy and I'm confident that we are going to the right direction. What we are doing is that we want to fix problems. We want to lay firm foundation. We don't want to do things temporarily anymore. And that is why it may look like it's taking time, but it is going to work. So the issue of whether we need to do the other one or the other one is totally out of what we are focusing. About the cabinet and the threats and the rest, I'm telling you the cabinet is trailing their eye on the prize. We have to deliver this country from problems that is beautiful in this country. Whether it is health, whether it is agriculture, whether it is roads, we are focusing on it, and we are telling Kenyans, look at our performance.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. We are grateful, given that you're rushing to State House now. So stay with us here on Cheche while we release the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock, Felix Koske. We'll come back after this break with two MPs to talk about the impeachment coming before Parliament this afternoon. In the meantime, you can send your questions to us by SMS number, which is 22422, or you can tweet us at Cheche_TV. We'll see you after the break.